Coming up on Virginia Currents, a major discovery in Yorktown could change the theory of when humans came to North America. And the motivating story of Lisa Olson, a woman who rises above the challenges of being born without limbs. And the ethereal illustrations of artist Julia Gabrielov during Daphne's Corner. Plus, the symbolic storytelling music of Willie D, all next on Virginia Currents.
I'm like the sparrow that's been struck by the arrow down from my beautiful tree. Yeah.
Welcome to Virginia Currents. I'm Daphne Maxwell Reed. Dr. Jerry Johnson, a retired professor from the College of William and Mary, loves mysteries. So much so that he spent over 3 decades on a thousands-year-old cold case near Yorktown, Virginia. The case victim was a mastodon, only the second specimen with numerous bones found east of the Blue Ridge Mountains in historic times. Now, similar in appearance, mastodons and mammoths became extinct about 10 to 12,000 years ago. The story of the mastodon has caught the attention of the Smithsonian and other museums. Last summer, we visited Dr. Jerry at his home with his wife of 58 years and some of his detective team while they cleaned and cataloged the bones and tusks. After the story, there's an exciting update to this evolving case.
More than 30 years ago, Lionel Hart was crossing a creek west of Yorktown. He looked down in the water and he saw a piece of wood with a shine. It turned out to be a tooth. So he looked around and he found the right half of the right jaw, fragments of ribs, and so forth. I identified it for him and I was excited because only 2 mastodons have been found east of the Blue Ridge in historic times. The other one apparently got burned in the Wren building during the Civil War. There's some debate about what happened to it. Think of this man, I call him a very wise man, bricklayer, 4th grade education, a brilliant man, because he said, I found them over there on the creek bed, but I think they came from over there from erosion of the bank. This man was within 3 feet of being correct. The people who owned the property wouldn't let us dig it up for 33 years. Unfortunately, he died a few years ago. So he's never going to know that this is the Hart Facella mastodon. The new owners, the Facellas, were the ones that allowed us to do it. And I don't know why they contacted me. They must have heard from somebody that this was reported back in the 80s, and they followed through on them. Facellas are remarkable.
We went through winters, 2 summers, before we found the animal. It was really a miracle. I mean, this is a huge piece of property. It looks dense, it's dense forest. So finding it is a miracle, and having responsibility is very humbling.
We worked from late July to early November. Every place we went for a while, we'd find bones. So everybody got a chance to find a bone or a tooth or something. Because when I picked it up, I had no idea what it was. And then I said, oh, it looks like the roots of a tooth, and there's the enamel.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, look at this.
But the group came there religiously to work on that site. The most incredible group. It was miserable down there. Every day they worked in the mud.
It was fun. It was the best time we ever had. We were muddy, we were dirty, we were just like a mess, but we had so much fun, and we just got in there and helped Dr. Jerry, and we became a family. We were a team. After probably a month, we had over 100 volunteers that were working on this together.
My husband and I are independent volunteers. Have been interested in various earth sciences for years. So I contacted Jerry by email and asked if I could come.
Really interesting. Never imagined I'd do something like this.
I got involved in the project because of my grandson, Jared Solomon. He got on into the project itself to earn his Eagle Scout, which he has done. It was a lot of fun. Once I got involved, I got hooked.
Oh dear, my basement, my messy basement. I found that tusk, and that was the first discovery, wasn't it? That when I said we got a tusk, you should have seen all the people in the pit like a bunch of flies going to rotten meat. You discovered this one.
This is his baby.
This is his baby. We are moving.
Oh, I don't want to hurt your hand, Dean.
It took 6 of us literally to haul that dude out of there. The tusk itself has been wrapped with a very firm cast. We build in pieces of wood underneath and within the tusk itself. And that gives it rigidity so we can move it, and it theoretically would not break, and it didn't.
These are dental tools. Pick out debris in pieces of soil, anything in the cracks, so that we could try and glue those pieces together so they won't separate and crumble.
But we are so fortunate to have a perfect one, and then one that tells the story of the history of the animal. And that's, I mean, it's just fortuitous. Who would have thought that we would decipher how the animal probably died? And the only way it could die, it had to have risen up on its hind legs. Now it's 12, 13, 14 feet tall, scaring the living daylights out of the predator. But for some reason it went over, the left tusk leading the other one slightly. And that tusk went into very hard ground, almost 20 inches, snapped off. Pieces of the tusk flew, and then about 4 feet of it probably was driven back into the skull. So hopefully it was a very quick death. Frank Emerson discovered this one and dug it out, but this is the part that literally went down in the ground, in very firm ground to here, snapped off. The right tusk shows evidence of stress, but it's still whole. This critter lived a long life, and then when it died, it left a lot of evidence about its life, and that's neat. This animal was an old animal. The enamel was worn away here, so the soft part of the tooth was exposed, and you got a cavity. Now this cavity extended all the way to the base of the tooth, and that infection ate away part of the jaw. And the animal had an impacted tooth, which must have been very, very painful.
It looks like there's some big pieces, but there are actually a whole bunch of little pieces in here. This is the inside of the skull. Flip it over here, and there's the outside. It's smooth. Again, there's just multiple pieces that have to be glued here. You notice the honeycomb on here. The honeycomb is it's an evolutionary device to save weight in the skull but add strength. Who would have thought that you can reconstruct the bones using super glue? And that's what the professionals do. They use super glue to put this stuff together again.
First and second rib. The outside has a lot of bumps and irregularities, which we call arthritis. And when they get over the crown where it articulates with another bone, that's pain. The animal has 14 set of ribs. We have about 8 or 9 total. And it's interesting because the big ribs have the small ribs associated with them, but the ones in between are not there. Isn't that strange? Okay. If you've ever seen the musculature of an elephant, you'll notice that in this part here, it's pretty darn meaty. And it has anomalies. If I looked at your body and said, okay, where are your meat bones? You'd say your arms, your legs. We have one of those bones. All the rest of those important meat bones are gone. Why? If it were any of the normal predators, they would eat the flesh and the bones would be there. Who would want meat bones? Who? Humans. So there's a possibility that the predator was humans attacking this animal. They harvested most of the meat bones, including the middle ribs, and hauled them off, left the garbage like the foot bones and things on the site for thousands and thousands of years. We do have on some of the bones some very interesting indentations, linear, which may be stone knives or whatever they used. If it were a cat or something making those marks, they'd be more symmetrical and parallel. These are at different angles, and they occur where ligaments would be joining to something. If you hit the ligament, cut it, you can pull the flesh off. So.
I think you all should note that we have a new decor for our house. And we may be the only house in at least the state of Virginia that has a decor of bones, mastodon
Teeth
bones.
and tusks.
So it's been a great project, and I've admired Jerry and all the volunteers for, being so persevering.
What drives you? What makes you keep this up?
Those people are an inspiration. And the second thing, of course, is the unknown. I love puzzles. Well, it's a guide to the past. I mean, it enlightens what went before us.
Since the story was recorded, radiocarbon tests have been done on the mastodon that show the mammal died about 16,260 years ago. Remember, evidence from the dig indicate humans may have butchered the animal. There's been debate about when humans arrived in eastern North America. Archaeological studies at Cactus Hill, Virginia established that humans arrived here at least 15,000 years ago. The Hart Facella mastodon pushes human arrival back at least another 1,000 years. Dr. Jerry hopes to have an article published soon of their findings. Lisa Olson does not allow being born without limbs stop her from living life to the fullest. She credits God and the love of her mother Marie for keeping her faith and love of self strong. Through Lisa's nonprofit, Manyatta Ministries, she shares a message of love, faith, strength, and acceptance across the globe. We visit Lisa in her Virginia home for this inspiring story.
I've had a lot of people pray for me, especially in the Christian community, that I would grow arms and legs. But I don't feel that's my calling. I had one person who asked if they could pray for me, and I said, sure, you could pray for me, but are you going to pray for me to grow arms and legs? And they said, yes, I actually am. And I said, well, would you mind praying for something else? I've been very content with my disability, and I'm very comfortable with my disability. I'd like to lose weight, but as any woman, but I'm fine with not having arms and legs. I don't mind if people come up to me and ask me, oh, were you born like this, or was it an accident? And I've had children and adults stare at me. It bothered my mom tremendously when adults would stare at me, and I was the one who was the PR person even as a child, and I would say to her, Mom, they haven't seen anyone without limbs. Well, I was born in India back in 1974. And I was abandoned soon after my birth. The culture in India is for disabled babies to be left on the street. Literally, the orphanages are overcrowded, but someone cared enough about me to bring me to the Kasturba Medical College in the cover of darkness in the middle of the night. Corvilla George traveled 37 hours by 2 buses and 2 trains and carried me in a basket. KG said that the nurses were very empathetic and they gave him powdered milk and cloth napkins for the trip. And every time I cried, he and this other intern who was traveling with him dangled a napkin by my face and said, "Look at the nappy," and that kept me quiet. I lived at the Ramabai Mukti Hospital for about 3.5 years. The nurses back at the Kasturba Medical College had given me the name Lika, which means writer in the Marathi language, and I ended up earning a journalism degree back in 1998, not knowing the meaning of my name. When I moved into one of the cottages at Mukti, the Lotus family, they changed my name from Lika to Manyata, which means acceptance in the Marathi language. The Ramabai Mukti mission's plan was for me to come over to the United States on a medical visa and live at Yorktown Residential Christian School, a ministry for disabled children and adults whose parents couldn't either take care of them. However, all medical visas expire, and the only way for me to come to the United States was if someone adopted me. And the director, Marie Olson, had been thinking and praying about the possibility for 3 months and hadn't told anyone. And then finally a letter came out of the blue with her name in it. And in the letter it said, would someone at Yorktown consider adopting Manyata? My mom was almost 51 years old and a single parent. She had never married, and she thought it was a preposterous idea to adopt a little girl without arms and legs, but that was God's plan. During my childhood, my mom and I laughed a lot. I was a very stoic child when I first came to the United States. It took me a year to even give my mom a kiss on the cheek, and she came home from one of her ministry events, and she was putting my snowsuit on and knelt down on the floor, and I looked up at her and I said, "Mommy, I love you," because I couldn't pronounce the word love, and it just melted her heart. I had wonderful cousins who accepted me, and they would introduce me to their friends as, "Oh, this is my cousin," not "this is my adoptive cousin." And my favorite film, the Karate Kid film, and at the end of the film, little Danielson does his little kick, and so I decided to try that on my cousin, and unfortunately I kicked him a little too hard, and my mom scolded me for that one. So I was a hoot and a half. My physical therapy growing up was a lot like boot camp, and they taught me to never give up and to just keep persevering until I was able to accomplish a task. They did not feel sorry for me. My mom had to leave the room a lot of the times because they would push me to the limit, to my brink. And I actually had an occupational therapist would move objects out of the way so that she would say, let's pretend hypothetically that nobody is in the room. Now, how would you get this pen? And it was good. They helped me to think critically and analytically. And I think that the PTs and my mom and the OTs, they just helped me to know that to never give up and to just keep pushing through all circumstances and any life challenge. And so they were great and valuable lessons that I learned during my childhood.
A nuestra hermana Lisa Olson. Gloria a Dios.
I have contemplated suicide in the past and even at one time attempted suicide, but at the same time too, I do know that I have a great purpose for my life. The reason I decided to pursue a career in motivational speaking was to help adolescents. I have a heart and passion for children. So if my testimony, my life story could even save one child from contemplating suicide or committing suicide or turning to substance abuse, I think it would be all worthwhile. Manyata Ministries is named after my Indian name. And the mission is to deliver God's message of acceptance and love to the nations. This is my calling. I feel this is the reason that I was created.
To learn more about Lisa and Manyata Ministries, visit manyataministries.org. Today's guest on Daphne's Corner is Julia Gabrielov. Now, Julia specializes in editorial fashion and fantasy illustration. Her background consists of modeling, fashion and costume design, and illustrations for children's books. She now illustrates her own stories and plans to publish them in the near future. Now, Julia participates in art galleries around the world, showcasing her work that is full of passion, imagination, and wonder. Now, Julia now joins us, and we welcome you to Daphne's Corner. Tell me, how does your background in fashion and modeling influence your art?
So I started modeling about 10 years ago, and it was amazing for networking and working with other artists such as fashion designers, makeup artists, hairstylists, and after that I decided that I really wanted to implement a lot of that into my art. Art was always #1 for me. It was always my biggest passion.
When did you start?
Before I can remember, I've always had a pencil in my hand, a paintbrush, etc. So after modeling, I came right back to the art, and I turned all of those skills into creating, just as you said, fashion fantasy illustration, and it still inspires me to this day.
And while you're doing this, what is your favorite medium? Is it pencil or is it paint?
I have 3 favorites. I have oil painting, colored pencil, and a brand new medium called pan pastel, which is like watercolor, but it's a dry medium that you apply with sponge tools, which I absolutely love.
So which do you prefer, the fantasy illustration or the editorial illustration?
Well, for me, they kind of go hand in hand. I definitely implement both every single time. The editorial illustration might be a made-up term that I actually coined because of my love for fashion. I dress my girls in Valentino and Dior and Chanel, just to name drop a few. So, and then obviously the fashion element comes in, you know, with all the nature and the animals and just the mixture of everything.
I see from this picture that seems like it's inspired by fashion.
Absolutely.
So tell us about what you've brought with you today.
So a lot of my girls are actually my friends, and this is a pretty popular model online, and I have dressed her in Valentino to complement my love for fashion.
The underwater jellyfish, what's going on there?
So this is a little bit of a darker theme, whereas usually I have a lot of symbiotic relationships, you know, a little bit of codependence. The animals and everything are drawn to these women because they know they're kind of their protectors, and they live together very peacefully. Whereas in this piece, it's a little bit darker. She is this beautiful jellyfish that is calling this fish in, and you know, I'd leave it up to interpretation what's going to happen next. But I guess it's just a little bit darker. It's actually, you know, just kind of beauty's deadly call, I guess.
And then you have one that's nature and very inspired fantasy.
Yes, and she's part of an ongoing series called The Last Trees, a little bit more of a melancholy series about I guess pretty much the end of the world, and this is the last of the trees, and there are all these different empires everywhere. So again, up to interpretation, you know, what's going to happen next. Are they all going to die out? Are they going to rise up and take over the world? You know, you don't really know, but you can see that there's just a big connection to nature, and the animals are still very drawn to all my girls.
They're absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
I really love your illustrations and a very strong point of view. I just think it's wonderful. I'm really happy that you joined us today. If you'd like to see more of Julia's work, visit juliagabrielov.com. Our spotlight on Virginia music shines on blues and folk singer-songwriter Willie D. At a young age, Willie D started busking on Charlottesville's downtown mall and outside of UVA's football games. At age 13, he formed a band, The Wave. They took the main stage at Floyd Fest and recorded 2 albums of Willie's original songs. In 2011, Willie went to VCU, where he studied jazz guitar and learned the art of improvisation and jazz composition. As a solo artist, he has recorded 2 more albums. Here's a clip of 7 Sparrows from his latest album, Thunder Train, and features Charlottesville artist Devin Spruill. Thank you for watching Virginia Currents. Be sure to watch next time for more inspiring stories. I'm Daphne Maxwell Reid.
7 sparrows sitting in a row, One flew off and was found crippled in the snow. No leader to guide the way, heavy as a stone with wings of clay. Burning wounds in the snow. Will I stay or will I go? Make me a fortress in the woods, 5-story building tilted strong the way it should. I'll be at the Pharaoh's feet, born to tend the Pharaoh's sheep, stuck like little chimney sweeps. I'm like a sparrow that's been struck by the arrow down from my beautiful tree. I'm a sparrow in a rage, going down this crazed highway, looking for my kith and kin. All I see are severed wings, they whirl me down the mountain.